men and women from various law enforcement agencies are expected to walk to the union buildings to raise awareness against gender-based violence, and they will hand over a memorandum, a symbol of their unwavering commitment towards tackling GBV. The rate of violence against women and girls in South Africa is among the highest in the world. Zola Sholwana is in Pretoria and joins us now live. Zola, another big moment, again, another milestone in the fight against GBV. What are we expecting where you are?
Well, Iman, what I can tell you is that this collaboration of law enforcement officials in the city of Tshwane is a response to the high GBV rate across South Africa. And they are saying that these are the people that usually deal with victims of gender-based violence, women and children. And policies will be revisited after this march, policies to address secondary victimization of victims that, report cases to officials, law enforcement officials. So the march will be taking place, rather they'll be moving from EMPD office headquarters in Tshwane, making their way to the union buildings. We also understand that there will be a commitment that will be made by law enforcement officials jointly. And this is to say we are behind victims of gender-based violence and that we are trying very hard to address issues that are related to policies that are not implemented, that are supposed to address issues that are affecting gender-based violence victims. And I'm joined by the Commissioner. Ma'am, thank you very much for your time. I mean, what's interesting about today's march is that you're saying people that are in the forefront are males. And if you can perhaps tell us the purpose of today's march.
We are the capital city, and the men in Metropolis decided they're going to take the lead, and they're going to contact their colleagues from South African Police Service, Gauteng Traffic Police, EMS, that are in the forefront when it comes to gender-based violence. We're all aware that South Africa's gender-based violence is extremely high, and we're all aware that sometimes complaints of secondary rape or secondary abuse when it comes to law enforcement officers. So as the men that mostly deal with this, they're going to march today from the TMPD headquarters to Tshwane House, from Tshwane House to the union buildings. They're going to sign a pledge, and we want to challenge everyone in the country that is dealing with gender-based violence. Maybe you can't do the march, but you must also take that pledge that you will prioritize and deal with gender-based violence complaints with the priority that it deserves, and that we do not and ensure that the victims are not secondary raped or secondary violence against them, and we will make sure that they get the necessary support that they need.
What are the objectives that you're hoping to achieve from today's march?
My objective is obviously that we would like to see a decline in gender-based violence. We would like to also, the law enforcers, we would like to make sure that each and every one, and even if you are a perpetrator yourself in law enforcement, that you really must play an active role in to make sure that there's the decline in gender-based violence. We cannot go ahead like this. We have marches, we have August marches, but it is time for us now to come to the fore, roll up our sleeves and say, we as the law enforcement want people to pay the price. You must even think twice before you want to be involved in domestic violence or gender-based violence, because you know the law is not going to be on your side if you are a perpetrator. And we want the victims, we really want the victims to come forward, because we don't want the victims to sit with that perception that we're not going to get help. So we want the victims to actually come forward. We're also marching also for victims that lost their lives because of gender-based violence. But we want that silent witnesses to come forward and to break their silence, break the cycle, and make sure that we, as a law enforcement, we're stretching our hand out now to say, come, we want to assist you.
Thank you very much for your time, Commissioner. Well, Iman, the police chief has actually mentioned that this is to say enough is enough, and that victims of gender-based violence should know that they are backed up by law enforcement officials in South Africa, and that they should feel protected. As you have heard her mention, that they will be revisiting certain policies that are aiming to address issues around secondary victimization. As you'd understand, that there has been a number of victims that would find themselves being victimized by people that are meant to protect them in society. Back to you in studio.
Zola, it's a grave story, a grave story and grave experiences that are reflected in the story for many women who do exactly what the police chief there is saying they shouldn't do, and that is to keep silent. I guess when we begin to see this exponential improvement in police services and the support for victims, perhaps then more and more women and other victims will come forward. I want